Hey there, guys and gals. Today we're going to be looking at some skinny minis. I was watching this Kickstarter. I was watching it because I think the idea is great. They're basically almost the same as flat plastic minis, but they seem like they're a bit thicker, if that makes sense. So what we're going to do today is unbox the bunch that I got. Their store just opened, which is what I was waiting for because I didn't want to buy like a Kickstarter pledge and just get a bunch of random ones. I wanted to pick out which ones I wanted. They said their store was going to open. So I waited, store opened. There was a deal when I bought it for 25% off your order for the opening of the store. I don't know if that's still on, but if it is, I will leave a link in the description below. But we're just going to open it. So what I did was I got the Skinny Minis binder, which is what this is, for you to put your Skinny Minis in. That way they're easy to store. The binder, basically, you put your small guys in here, a bunch of pages for small. Then you got your medium-sized dudes. You get your more medium-sized dudes. Then you have your large dudes. And the cool thing about these binders, then you have like your gargantuan dudes. The cool thing about these binders is that they do come with a bunch of pages and what have you, but you can also just buy more separate pages if you wanted to put more minis in here, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing if I get more minis. I did buy a bunch of sets, but the bags here. So the logo is normally with gold, but they were out of gold when I bought mine. So, it's the edge of the binder is magnetized, but it's magnetized this way, not this way, which is what I would assume. I got the silver one because they were out of gold binder, but it's whatever. You can also see that I got indented a bit. That was probably one of the ring guards that just came out. Even though the minis themselves came in a box, the binder didn't come with any. It was just wrapped. Everything was wrapped in one roll of bubble wrap, and then it was in a bag. Not even a bubble mailer bag. It was just in a regular bag. And my bag was like all different kinds, had all different kinds of scrapes and stuff all over it. So expect some stuff to get messed up. Like it's not going to get to you perfect because of their shipping setup. And for all intents and purposes, I'm sure everything is fine. If you were looking for something pristine, you're probably not going to get it when they ship it to you pristine. They are saving money by shipping in bags, which I could totally understand. But yeah. Oh, there's more of these little ring guards in here. Probably a couple of them fell out on the way. But the actual Skinny Minis from the box that is rippity wrapped. I will tell you the sets that I got were flying stands, which is one of the reasons why I was really into this, because I don't have any flying stands. I know the homebrew standard for flying stands in D&D is to use shot glasses that are clear, but I don't really have any of those at home. So I was like, oh, I'm going to need some way to get flying stands. So that's what I got here. But I got flying stands, the Goblins, Guards 1, Half-Elf Spellcaster Heroes, Half-Orc Spellcaster Heroes, Orcs, Silver Binder, and a set of Undead. So, look at all those. The actual minis come way better wrapped. They're in their own box. They have tissue paper around them, and they have another layer of protective stuff. The flying stands is what I realistically was going for. Help to note, when things are floating or levitating or what have you, which I didn't really have a way to express before. You get 5 of them, and it comes with the regular stands for Skinny Minis, which, like flat plastic miniatures, Skinny Minis don't come with stands by themselves. But I figured once I had a set and I saw what the base was like, I can just make my own bases out of foam, which is what I've already done for the flat plastic miniatures. So I did buy a bunch of bases, yes, for flat plastic miniatures. Now that I know what the base is like, I can just make a base myself for them. So you can do that too. You could potentially, if you have the capability, you could 3D print the bases. But what I do is I just take some craft foam and I cut a hole that works, that fits, that the mini can fit in. These holes are deeper than flat plastic miniature holes. So I'm probably going to have to literally cut something out of the bases when I make them. But in the case of flat plastic minis, because the the actual acrylic isn't thick, I can literally just cut a slit, and as long as it is the correct size, I can fit a mini down into it. These ones I'm probably gonna have to cut something out so that the mini can fit into it. These are the flying stands. There's two heights, but the cool thing is if you put like a stand, if you put a base on, then you put another base on top, then you can put another guy, because there's multiple holes, you can put another stand to denote that it's even higher and higher and higher, which is kind of cool. If you have a regular mini like with a base, it's going to go on top of these anyway. So it's not like you only have to use these flight stands specifically for skinny minis. You can use them for other stuff as well. This looks like an orc warband. Like flat plastic minis, there is a front and a back to each of these. Trying to figure out where I am on this camera. There is a front and a back to each of these. So there's the front facing, and then there's the back facing. Now these are like, that's pretty thick acrylic compared to what a flat plastic mini is, because a flat plastic mini is obviously flat. So I think these will probably last a bit longer. Oddly enough, the image on the front side, oh, actually what I think is happening here is that the images are not inside. The images are like on the back. Interesting, because you can feel them. On the flat plastic minis, you can tell the images on the inside. You can't feel it. But this is weird. So the fronts, yeah, if you look through them, it doesn't look like the images on the inside. It looks like they're actually placed on the back, which interesting construction. But the Orc Warband, while people who are in my campaign are probably going to watch this video, you might not run into orcs too soon, but it's good to have some orcs on hand. Currently, the Skinny Minis site is doing free shipping on orders over $50, so that's why I got a whole bunch of different stuff. These are supposed to be the Town Guard set. But realistically, you can use them for whatever you want. I realize I don't have a lot of generic regular dudes. Like I have monsters and stuff, but generic regular people, I don't have a lot of, to be honest. And I feel like that's just something that happens when you play D&D. Like if you're playing physically and you're getting minis and stuff, you don't go out of your way to find generic minis. Unless they're like monsters, like, oh sure, I can use these goblins everywhere. Like you don't go, most people aren't looking out to find like minis for just people who are in a tavern or people who are walking around cities. But that's a thing you're going to need to rectify eventually, if that makes sense. Because eventually you're going to run into a problem where you need a regular dude and you don't have any. But now I do. Also cool that these come with dogs as opposed to people, because dogs are just better than people, let's be honest. Here goes the Goblin Warband, it looks like. Yep. The Goblin Warband comes with mounts, and the cool thing about skinny mini mounts is that, can you guys see that there is an area here where you can pull out a mini, or you pull this out and you stick your mini in it, so it looks like they're actually riding them, except obviously it's going to be perpendicular lines because everything is flat. Still really cool though, really good idea. I like this more than, I think it's the Flat Plastic Mini guys had a thing come out recently. They had a Kickstarter for mounts, and they're basically craft foam that's flat, and you just stand someone on top of it. And I didn't like that. I don't like that idea. They could have done better things. I think it would be cooler, but what can you say? Goblin Warband comes with 10 goblins and then 4 mounts. Now, I'm guessing they're supposed to be wolves, but potentially you could make them wargs. You just give them a different base, realistically. Now, since I didn't buy any extra bases, I'm going to be making the bases physically for in case I need because I was too cheap to buy more bases. When I knew from flat plastic minis, like after I bought a couple bases for flat plastic minis, I was like, oh, I could just make these on my own. They won't be as cool or as pretty, but they'll work just fine. And I have a whole bunch of extra craft foam anyway. These are the Half-Orc Spellcasters. I actually bought this set because in our campaign we have a Verdin. And when Verdins go through their growth spurt at level 5, they basically become, instead of being goblin sized, they're hobgoblin sized. And there aren't a lot of, how do I explain this? There aren't a lot of minis or other things that are hobgoblins that are green, essentially. So half-orcs they basically serve the same purpose that green, they look like green hobgoblins, essentially. So I was like, oh, I can do this. They just don't have the Verdant super long ears, but whatever. I think they'll work just fine because I would like to incorporate more Verdant in the campaign. It's weird that we only have one, or that our Verdant in the campaign has only ever, hasn't met any others. They're clearly out there in the world, so I'm thinking I can use half-orcs for that purpose, at least of older Verdant. For the most part, I'm going to use Goblin minis for young Verdant. Also, can I just say that it bugs me that in the lore for Verdant, it's like, oh, they can go into their growth spurt at any time. And yet, in game, when you're playing a Verdant, the moment you hit level 5, you're like, and you start transforming. I got, because this is half-elf spellcasters, but you could use them for human spellcasters. It's all the same, realistically. You can't even tell. Can you tell? You can tell some of them have pointy ears, but it's always nice to have a bunch of spellcasters. And I mean, you don't necessarily have to use, like, that could be a naiad, or that could be a witch. Like, I mean, a witch technically also is a spellcaster, but like this could just be a crazy rogue flipping his weapons. You don't have to use them for exactly what their purpose is. I just like really cool minis and designs, and Flat Plastic Minis has a lot of cool designs. I personally don't like any of their humanoid smaller stature figures. Like, I don't like their halflings and I don't like their dwarves, because while the normal proportioned characters look fine, the diminutive races, they went with like a comedy. They went with a more comic look for the diminutive races, and I don't like it. I don't like the giant comical head on the bodies when the rest of their figures have realistic proportions and look realistic. So I won't be getting any flat plastic minis of the diminutive races because it's like, even the goblins aren't like that. Like, the goblins have proportionate heads. They might be a little less proportionate. All right, let me take that out of the bag so you can actually see it. It might be a little less proportionate, but the humanoid ones, I know goblins are also humanoid, but they're goblinoid. Like the playable diminutive races. Oh no, goblins are also playable. Dang it! This is hard to explain. But dwarves and halflings have like comically large heads with flat plastic mini, and I don't know. I don't like that. I don't think it fits in with the rest of the stuff. I got the, stop sticking to me. I got the undead horde. Because you can never have enough undead, even though I have a bunch of undead skeletons and all that jazz. Like, I have so much undead stuff. But it's always nice to have more. So I got some more. Yeah. With the 25% off, all of this stuff cost me like, I think it was like $57 or something, which is not bad. If I had bought even like a quarter of this stuff as like regular minis, it would have been astronomically expensive. I've been way past $50 or $60, whatever, basically. And with the 25, that was with the 25% off, so it would have been a little bit more if I didn't have the coupon. But that was Skinny Minis. I'm super excited. The store launched. I'll probably be buying more of these in the future because I love both the idea of skinny minis, and I love the idea of flat plastic minis, flat plastic miniatures, where like you can get a whole swath of like figure content for your game for cheap, and they're way easier to store than minis, and it's a good system. I just like this system. I'm glad that I'm getting into D&D when this is becoming more popular, because while I do have a 3D printer, and if you guys want to see me 3D print stuff, or if you want to see what I've 3D printed so far, I guess leave a comment below, and I'll show you guys. I have printed a bunch of stuff for D&D. We're getting more into me actually using what I printed, which is nice. It's cool that other people are making things that I can download, and I can put on the 3D printer and just blah, 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 make me a print. But again, with those, they take up a lot of space, whereas these guys take up much less space. And since it comes with a binder, it's going to take up even less space, and it's all in one spot, which is really nice. So I highly recommend skinny minis. I recommend flat plastic miniatures as well. But actually, you know what I'm going to do? I feel like it's important that I show you guys what this stuff is like. So I'm going to pop out, I'm just going to pop out an orc, but instead I'm going to pop out a goblin, because I will definitely use it, because our campaign is very heavily goblin influenced, if you will. Hold on. How hard are they to get out? Pat! It came out pretty well. Pretty easy. It gets a little bit of, oh, well, that was plastic under my nail. Ow. They don't pop out quite perfectly, but that could be me. It might be a little bit around the edges. You could sand it. If you're used to sanding minis, you're going to sand them fine. Essentially, all you do is you take your skinny mini and you shove it in the hole. And voila. That's basically what it is. It stands up like that. In the case of these, hold on, I'll pop out one. Pop. So what you do with these are you pop it into the hole. Then you take another base. You actually need two. You actually need two to utilize one of these flight stands. Stick it in. This is harder than it looks to do it without, it being on the floor. And then you place your mini up here on top. Okay, hold on. This is way harder than it looks to do it when it's not flat. I'm just saying. Hold on. I'll do it. Don't worry. Bam. Push it in. And then this is now flat. Hold on. Oh, I see. Hold on. Ooh. Oh. Snap the base. It's not good. All right, here we go. We're going to go boom. 1, 2. All right, this is also not technically flat. Let's do it here. It's easier. It's way easier. Boom, boom. I'm thinking that you can go. No. I think it's the same distance apart. Oh, no, it's not. The flight stands, this could be dangerous. They can end up being sharp, so be careful. Keep them away from kids when you're doing them. The flight stands, No. You have to start again. Interesting. I can't fit them into the left and right, so you have to go. There's my goblin. You have to put them in the middle. Oh, interesting. So you got to use up a whole bunch of bases. Yeah, I will. I can't seem to fit them into the edge ones, which is strange that they would even add them if that's the case. you still have to use up more bases to get them up in the air. So I will definitely be making mini bases for this as opposed to buying more, because it's going to be way cheaper for me. It might be cheaper for you. Sorry, skinny minis, if this hurts you, but I don't want to buy bases when I can make them myself. I can't do the art, so that part's on you guys, but I would definitely make the bases myself. I'll probably measure out what the width of the middle is, and then just cut that in some of my little bases and use them for skinny minis. But yeah, this is how the stands work. You do actually need 2 to go any size up in the air, which is kind of a bummer. It's also, so the way that these stands work, I think this is 2 inches. So this is bigger than 1 square on a D&D board. Here, hold on. This is actually 2 blocks high. So you'd be going up 10 feet instead of 5 feet. There's no 5-foot jump. You're just in the air. So you'd have to explain to your group, if any of them happen to be measuring what you were doing, that you have to decide on some way or explain to them what the actual height is, because they only go up in increments of 10 feet. Obviously, these are double. Oh no, these are just triple. So 10 feet, and then the bigger ones. Sorry, everything's clear. That's hard to find. These guys are like 10 feet up in the air. These guys are 15 feet. So you have to find a way to denote. You could like write on them as well. I believe they are dry erase. Let's find out. Are they dry erase? Probably. They're just clear. Probably brown is not the best color to show you, but there's brown. Grab my paper towel. Yep, they're dry erase. So you can write on these if you want and tell people exactly how high up that creature is, which is better, which is a better option, to be honest, than just explaining to the group and hoping they remember. So I'll be doing that. Super weird though that they have the 2 on the sides, but they're not thick enough to fit in one of the minis. So I'll definitely be making my own minis for, not my own minis. I'll definitely be making my own bases for this, which, hey, if it saves me money, I'm gonna do it. And it's an easy craft for me to do. Like a lot of the stuff I see other people doing, like on r/DNDIY, that stuff blows my mind. Whereas there's other simple stuff that I can actually do. So I will do it. But yeah, that was my unboxing of the first set of skinny minis I've gotten. They are by Dungeon in a Box, which is like a subscription service for Dungeons and Dragons. If you're playing in person, it comes with like maps and an adventure and some minis and stuff. But this is more what I'm into. Easy to store minis that give me like a lot of depth and range to my characters, and like help other people playing differentiate foes and what have you. I will most likely be buying more. There are a couple more sets that I want. I can always buy more sleeves for the binder, but they do say it has trouble locking with the magnet after a while. Not over time. I mean, if you put too many sleeves in it, clearly it's going to have trouble locking. But yeah, that was Skinny Minis from Dungeon in a Box. I'm excited to get these packed away so that I can whip them out when my players encounter some new enemies. I'm probably going to end up, by the time this video comes out, I'll already have ran it, but the first time I'm going to be using the flight stands is with a flame skull that my party is going to have to fight very soon, and I'm very excited for this. Very excited to add more things to make our environments more 3D, more fun for everybody. I want to increase the engagement to the max. So I'm excited. If you guys like what you saw, leave a like. If you want to see more content like this, sub. And I will see you guys and gals later in the next one. Probably if you see me doing another unboxing, it's definitely going to be something D&D related. Let's be honest. It's going to be D&D related.